Hey guys, welcome back. Saturday evening, I wanted to start uh, restoring this Stanwell pipe that I got the other day. I got a great deal from a woman locally who wanted to sell her husband and her father's old Stanwell pipes, and she had some other pipes as well. I got a Fumu Popular that was in good shape. This will just be going into my basket with non-collectible pipes that I'm from time to time restoring and reselling. So I only spend time on pipes that is not worth a lot, but are then in a condition where they can be restored and reused. So this is a Danish whatever pipe, and I got, actually this is very nice. I forgot about it. This is a Shank Deluxe, a very long uh, stem in briar. That is actually astonishing. I think you'll call that a lovet, and it is oil hardened, the stamp, and that means that this is a very old example of shunted pipes, most likely from the 50s or 60s. That oil hardened process is a very old stamp. Came across that one time before. It is also stamped Reserve du Jubil, which means it's an anniversary pipe from 1915 to 1954. So I'm right, it's from the 50s. It is pipe out of 54, number 4, with an astonishing grain. This might actually be something that is kind of worth hanging on to. It is a quite astonishing how that long shank has been carved, and the condition is perfect. Someone has been laying around. This has been smoked, but it is in beautiful condition. Anyways, I got that plus another Stanwell pipe with the registration number that is sought after by collectors, and then this big bent sitter. It's a very heavy pipe. The lady was telling me a story that her husband was working on their farm in the 80s, and he was milking the cows, and he was going around with this pipe, but it was too heavy for him, so he eventually turned back to cigarettes because this pipe was very uncomfortable for him. So it is very good condition, but you can almost not see the grain because it is, I mean, the wood is overcaked with a big layer of dirt that I'll have to carefully wash off before I will buff it. So the stem is acrylic, and it might be a filter version. No, it is not. It is. It is a 9mm, but everything is in perfect condition. Only thing which is a little bit sad is that the stamp is very faded, which is strange because probably this pipe was never restored. But the stamp is partly visible, but it is stamped Stanwell, made in Denmark, Royal Prince, and this shape model is 166. So the first thing that I usually do, if I can find my tools, is that I will carefully work on the reaming process. And for this pipe, it is not heavily caked. So And when you're reaming out pipes, start, if you have this tool, which is pretty handy, start with the very narrow and then work your way out. If you're reaming your pipes for the pipes that you're just smoking and you want to remove some of the cake, you don't have to ream it all the way back to briar, because you would actually like to save some of the buildup. But when I want to restore it, I want to go back to how the bowl was when it was new. So I want to go to briar, and then it is up to the guy that might need to smoke, or who might want to smoke this pipe in the future, to rebuild that protective layer. Some guy says that you want to resell the pipe with some cake because you want the cake to be there. For me, that just doesn't make any sense. If you're gonna restore the pipe either for collecting or for reselling, you wanna sell your underwear when it's clean. You don't want to resell it with dirty underwear. It is just, that's my perspective. You could disagree. I would like to have a clean pipe if I bought it from you and it was restored. Some people, they even recoat the bowl. I like a recoated bowl, but it is very hated in the reselling business, because you can recoat the bowl to mask up any issues or burned or charred sides of the bowl. So in the perfect world, I would like the bowl to be recoated and be sure that there was no secrets hiding behind it. So most guys don't like to receive a restored pipe with a recoated bowl, because you start to think, why did the guy recoat it? But especially on the Asian market, where they restore the pipes to a very, I mean, they restore them very aggressively. All the time they are recoated. And that doesn't mean that there are issues hiding behind it. That is just a part of the process. Okay, I think I'm almost done. You have to stick your finger in here and get dirty, because this is how you can feel where you are. And it is a little bit of a nasty process, but that is how it is. At least this ball is wide enough so you can actually work it. And I just have a little bit of cake down in the bottom. What you want to be careful with is, with this tool, if you start to ream on an angle to get down on this side, you feel like you have to angle it this way, but then on the top you are now grinding on the edge of the rim, and then you can start to make unevenness in the sharp edges of the top of the bowl. So don't do it like that. If you want to remove something up here, you still want to have it even, but then you want to press the whole tool to make pressure this way when you ream, instead of trying to angle it. When you're done with the reaming tool, the next thing you want to do is go to sandpaper to get a smooth wall without any unevenness. And especially with sandpaper, depending on the grit, you again want to be very careful that you're not starting to sand the top of the rim to make the sharp edge dull, so that you from the top would be able to see that some of the rim edges are uneven. So be careful that you don't have the sandpaper going over the rim and start to sand on the top. If the bowl is very deep and tight, I use the process of having sandpaper like this, and I sand down in the bottom of the bowl like this to get the last cake out. And this was an easy job. For an example, the last pipe that I restored from the lady here, it was a 50-year-old pipe that was heavily smoked by her grandfather, and that cake was filling 80% of the bowl. But the cake that I have in my pipes, when I smoke it, I just need to touch it with a reaming tool, and then it pulverizes and everything falls out. But cake that is that old, you feel like you're reaming wood. It is that hard. And the cake is so hard that you need to put so much force into it that you sometimes you feel and you are risking doing damage, because it is not a good thing to apply that much pressure in the reaming process, but sometimes you have to. But I think I was reaming that pipe for an hour to get down to wood, so that was quite a workout. So final sandpaper. Back when I first started restoring pipes, I was way more aggressive with water and soap. I wanted to clean the pipes until nothing black came out of it. I eventually learned my lesson that you end up making a mess for yourself, and the stain going off, and avoid too much water cleaning and soapy cleaning, also because you don't want soaps and everything to soak into the briar. Get as much out of the pipe dry. That means reaming, that I just did now. And then the next thing is we're going to check the shank. So stick a pipe cleaner in there. If the pipe is very heavily smoked, you would need to re-drill, because you have a cake buildup in the shank that will take forever to clean out. With alcohol you can clean for hours, and you're just peeling on the edges. So if you have a heavy cake buildup, you need to take a drill bit and ream the shank, because that is actually what you're doing. So you can do it with a machine, but you risk damaging. So I'm just taking a drill bit and moving it, and see if I have a buildup of cake into the inside. But on this pipe, more or less, I don't. What I also sometimes do when we're going to do this today, I have one of these brushes that you use for cleaning straws and whatnot. And I take isopropyl alcohol, carefully not to get it on the stain, because I want to keep the factory stain on this pipe because the condition is so good. I go over my sink and I carefully scrub the shank. And judging from how, and then I'm cleaning this with water. Judging from how much dirt I'm pulling out with this, you get an idea of how the shank buildup is, how dirty it is. When you put alcohol down in the shank, or if you get alcohol on some places that have a buildup of cake, it will dissolve the cake and it will be very black and nasty. So this came out more or less clean. So just gonna finish with a pipe cleaner. And we had a very, very clean shank. So finally, because now after reaming, even though I put some cloth down there and tried to pull out the dust, last thing I want to do is to wipe the bowl with alcohol to get the dust out. So when I will finally do the cotton and alcohol treatment, that the alcohol doesn't has all the dust to it will make a mess. Clean bowl before you do the treatment, if that makes sense. Clean up after your first process, because all this black shit that I'm pulling out now, it is just the dust from reaming, and you want to have it so the alcohol treatment doesn't have to dissolve all that, if that makes sense. Every time I do this process, I say to myself, wear gloves next time, because this cake dust must be very either acidic or base, because I get very dry hands, and my skin, it irritates my skin to touch all this black stuff. But each time I forget, or don't forget. I'm not bothered, because I have such a good feeling with what I'm doing when I'm not wearing gloves. Whoops. I keep pulling out stuff here. So just keep going. So now we are at a state where you look and you have a almost bare wood bowl. There's no visible cake, there's only a black layer, which means that there's actually a fine cake layer. Next thing is the outside. This pipe doesn't have a very big rim. One of the issues with estate pipes is that the rim is very charred from the process of smoking the tobacco. This pipe has a very delicate rim, so it is not an issue. You most times have to clean this top part very heavily, so heavily that you need to aggressively, that you're removing the stain. So even though you're not restaining the whole pipe, oftentimes you will have to restain the rim. This does not have any cake buildup. It has some darkening. If I scratch with my nail, I don't see much cake. So what I will usually do from here on, no, we'll do the stem first. So since this has a very wide 9mm opening, I can use my big brush, and I'm actually going to scrub the stem. This is a bent stem, so I'm not able to go all the way down. And then you judge what you're pulling out, and this is very clean. On the stem I'm using a lot of water because it's acrylic, no issues. You can just go to town. You don't have to be careful on the stems. You can just rebuff, resand those. Those you just want to be clean. So I'm scrubbing with isopropyl alcohol. After each application of alcohol, I run it under warm water. So I'm releasing whatever I scrubbed. Disclaimer, this is an easy job. Most of my estate pipes is not as easy as this. I already have a clean rim. I can sometimes stand here for 30 minutes and scrub because there's a cake buildup inside of the stem, and you cannot drill that out. You have to scrub that out, and that can be a hefty process. Finally, pipe cleaner. I'm taking one that is a little bit used. That is okay, and that can go all the way through. And okay, we will need a fresh one. The amount of pipe cleaners that you're going through restoring these pipes is next level. Thank God that they are cheap. So that is the amount of dirt that we are left with stem wise. So we're still pulling out a little bit. Stems should be to the point where you can run a pipe cleaner through them with alcohol and the pipe cleaner being white. I'm baffled when I receive restored pipes, even from respected pipe shops. And when you get it, it looks shiny and buff. But when you put a pipe cleaner in the shank or in the stem, it is filthy. It is not okay. Okay, clean pipe. Stem, that is. Okay. Well, that took 20 minutes. The next thing, I will take a brush or soft sponge. If the rim is very caked, I would take this rough part and I would use I don't know what you call the soap in English. It is the soap that are it is the soap that you use to treat furniture. If you have a bare wooden table or a piece of on your kitchen table that is just bare wood without a wax or without anything, you can treat it with this soap that you just mix with water, and you make this foam, and the soapy foam will then treat the wood. I have no clue if you use this in the States or whatever that it's called, but it is it has no perfume, no additives at all, and that is the key. You don't want to have anything with perfume or additives or regular soap touching your pipe. It is in like this, looks like this. You dissolve this into warm water. You don't need much. You don't need much water, that is. And you just want to create some dry, soapy foam to have as little water as possible. So if I had a very bad with the top of the ball, I would then with soap polish it like this to try to get the cake off. And eventually, if it's too bad and it is the briar that is darkening, you'll have to sand the top and re-dye it. But even with the soapy thing like this, sometimes you will remove so much stain that you have to re-stain. But I'm going to use just the soft part to try to get the grime of this ball, because you don't even see the grain, because it is so caked up with dirt and oils from the pipe being used on a farm. So I'm dissolving some of the soap with my sponge, and you want to try to create some foam. Takes a little bit for the soap to dissolve. Did I use too little? Working on it, guys. I didn't use so much soap, so it's not so dry, but you have some foam. So you want the sponge to be moist but not soaking wet. And then you take some of the foam and then you lightly brush the pipe and remove some of the grime. So the idea is that you use controlled amounts of water, but just enough to have something to release the dirt. And I'm pulling off a little bit of dirt. It's actually not as bad as one could have thought. Maybe this pipe was just actually delivered in a matte finish. Sometimes Stanwell had a matte finish, that it was not buffed with wax. So, clean towel, and what you most likely will see now, that this soap will remove oils, and if there was a wax or something that made the pipe shiny, that is now gone. So if you can see, the difference is that we were able to remove the shininess and the dirt, but we're left with a matte finish. That means that we cleaned the pipe and removed oils and waxes, but what is most important is we kept the factory stain. And that is the goal here. When we're restoring, we're trying to do the least aggressive methods as long as it works. And if it's very old, very used estate pipes, you just have to sometimes remove the stain, because you'll restain it. On this pipe, see, now we have very clean pipe cleaners coming out of the shank. It feels smooth and clean now. So this is what we're left with, a matte and dull finish, but the stain is still there. So actually, what we are left with is now a clean pipe. So what we will do now is that we will give it the alcohol cotton treatment that I showed you earlier, and leave it for tomorrow. Then we will buff it, and I think this pipe we will go all the way back to a heavy wheel and a soft wheel and a wax. By the way, most Stanwell pipes that has the Stanwell stamp doesn't have fillings, because most of the pipes that needed to have fillings, they were selling under sub-brands, like the Royal Prince or whatever, that didn't get the Stanwell stamp. But this pipe actually has a large filling. That is such a shame. And what I have a hard time understanding, this has one here, it has one here, it has one here. And I understand the bigger the piece of briar for a big pipe, it is more difficult to have a piece of briar that doesn't need fillings. But one thing is that Stanwell sold pipes under their top brand, leaving fillings or accepting fillings. But what I don't understand is that the guy that picked out the pipe in the shop could just have said, oh, this one has fillings, sell that to another guy, just leave it. You don't even have to buy it. No one is forcing you. I would say, heck no. I'm expecting a quality piece of briar when I'm buying the Stanwell brand. But what's most likely happening is that other people didn't see it, or you got it as a gift or for Christmas or a birthday, and your wife or friends or family, whatever, they're not going to pay attention to that. I'm just baffled that someone ever bought this, because don't get me wrong, this is a beautiful pipe. The stain, sorry, the wood and everything looks perfect, but I would never pick this up. Most likely the shop had more of the same pipe, and you would just pick up another one. So a pipe is not just a pipe. Every pipe, even though the models are the same, you are searching out the perfect example. So I would have avoided this one. It's just so sad to see. But it is what it is. Nature makes the wood, and it's up to the quality control either to accept it or not. Beautiful pipe though. So from here on, alcohol treatment to remove whatever was smoked in this before, and then tomorrow final buff and wax, and it's done. So this is an example of an easy restoration job. Doesn't get more easier than this one, and probably I'll bring you in on a more heavy job another time. Okay, so thanks for watching. Bye.